Welcome to the Speak Life podcast. This is your host, the one and only
You're the host.
Shika. I was
You
about
are
to
the
say
host.
co-host,
You are
but
not the
this
co-host.
is your host, the one and only Shika. All right, co-host. Introduce
Yes, and
yourself.
I'm your co-host for the week.
I'm the host this week.
Minister Phoenix, the co-host with the most. I'm playing wingman this week.
Right. But shout out to our faithful listeners. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, don't forget to subscribe, comment,
All that.
tell a friend to tell a friend.
All that.
Awesome. All right. Don't forget to get your book, When Three Roads Collide.
Why ain't y'all got that yet? Stop playing. Get your book.
You could get it from us
Get
or,
your book.
go on the website, threeroadscollide.com.
Yes,
and
indeed.
you will be able to find the book. All right. So this week, we have a very interesting topic for you all, right? We want to leave the start with you. When you think of shining your light, what comes to mind?
What kind of light are you shining?
What kind of light are you shining?
What kind of light are you shining?
Yeah.
Very important.
So what comes to mind? All right. So, this is the first question, right? You got to listen carefully. When we talk about the kind of light that we are shining, what are we talking about?
Now, all right. So I'm not used to being the first one. I had to throw
So
these
what
questions.
comes to mind when we're
All right.
talking about shining
Now,
your light?
when
right?
I think of shining light as a follower of Christ, as a Christian, trying to be like Jesus, I always think about, that impression I leave with people. They say first impressions last a lifetime. So it's like when I'm around people, what kind of vibes am I giving off? Am I giving off positivity? Am I giving off negativity? Optimism or pessimism? What am I leaving you? After I leave your presence,
How are you feeling?
what did I leave you with? What kind of deposit did I make into your life? So that's what comes to mind to me. For me, yeah.
I mean, I could relate with what you're saying. I always I think about the things that I'm going to say, especially if this is my first time meeting someone, right? I always think about how do I want this person to view me, right? And I don't just come off I have to warm up to you, right? I gotta really feel you out and observe you, and I don't just let my guard down. But the first time I'm meeting someone, I think because I'm always smiling, that's the first thing that they see, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so nice, and which I am nice, but I always try to give just have that positivity, that energy, and I think it comes natural to me. It doesn't take anything for me to smile. Smiling is not something that's hard. Some people is really hard.
That don't come natural for me because
Yeah.
I know I'm like a social introvert. So it's I'll meet someone and be like, hey, how's it going? And then I just kind of withdraw quietly.
Yeah, I meet someone for the first, I'm like, hi, how are you? That's just me naturally, right? And I think because I'm like this, I'm just always smiling, it honestly make people feel welcome.
I think it disarms a lot of people.
Yeah, right? So, and then when I'm not smiling, they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine. They're like, oh, okay. So you just always have to have that positive energy, and when you're meeting someone, don't just act like, oh, I know them forever. Just feel them out. Let the person get to know you. Just be careful, because we don't want to give people the wrong impression.
Interesting.
Yes. So, I got to remember that I'm the host.
I'm not
waiting for him
hosting. Not
to
I,
ask
said the
next
cat. I'm
question.
just sitting. I'm wingmanning.
All right, what kind of impact are we expecting to have on the people that we come in contact with?
All right, now this one's interesting because, a lot of times, especially as and I always say, disciples of Christ, followers of Christ, we don't realize how powerful of an impact we have on individuals. A lot of times we have this concept of oh, well, I'm just gonna live my life for me, but that's really not really how it's supposed to be, because you have a lot of people who, the minute you tell someone oh, I'm a Christian, I'm following Jesus, they automatically, even if they don't tell you, they automatically put you at a certain position on a certain pedestal where they expect certain things from you. They expect you to act different. They expect you to have some sort of integrity, some sort of patience, some sort of kindness to you, and that's one thing that really throws a lot of people when they have this expectation for us. And then they're like, oh, you don't show none of that. So we have to be careful how we present ourselves, because at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is we are representatives of Christ. Mm-hmm. And that's how people look at us. The minute they know what you believe, whether you like it or not, you become a representative. That's who you are. That's how you got to live your life, recognizing that, what people are looking to you to uphold a certain standard, And
Yeah. You know what? I always say you never want to be that Christian or that believer that turns someone away from church.
Oh, Lord.
Or turns someone away from God.
Oh, God.
Right? Because then when that's going to be you. Someone
you
say, why don't you go to church? Or why don't you serve God? Well, I know this girl. And
that's
she
the
called
one.
herself a Christian.
That's the one.
Oh, but she is worse than the
sinners.
Like,
my
she is
goodness.
horrible. Like her attitude, the way she carry herself.
You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person. Oh, you don't want to be that person.
Because then guess what? You're responsible for that soul.
Mm-hmm.
So if that person never stepped one foot inside of a church, that's on you. You're gonna have to answer to that.
You don't want to be that person.
So I, as a Christian, like, we always have to be Christ-like, and we're not perfect.
Oh no,
we're gonna do stuff like everyone is not gonna say, "Oh my gosh, she's such a great Christian. Like, she's just so amazing." You're not gonna get that every day, right? But majority, like, you can't have everybody talking bad about you, and you call yourself a Christian. Like, how does that work?
Well, it depends on the topic of conversation also.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, as far as, like, just
in a negative
form.
manner.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you have to be, you can't have everyone talking negatively about you and you call yourself a Christian.
That's no good.
Thank you for clarifying. Like,
that's no good.
Because as Christians, we always have to let our light shine.
Oh,
right?
There it is.
Let your light shine.
Uh-oh.
So if your light is shining, if I should turn off all the lights in here, it's going to be dark, right? And to me, darkness is sadness, is negative. I don't like
depression.
The dark. It's I don't like it. So if everything you have to say is something negative, and it's just like this, like there's no joy, then why would I want to serve your God?
Uh-oh.
If you have nothing positive to say, and if you just carry yourself like you're just always so upset, and then people look at you and they're like, she's so miserable.
Oh gosh, not the M word.
Right?
Oh goodness.
So why would I want to serve your God? Like, why would I? What? And then something happened and you're like, yep, let me tell you about God. No, don't.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that. So there's a certain way that we have to carry ourselves, because people are looking to us as believers, as Christian, to set the example.
And you don't even be knowing they be looking at you for it.
You really don't. Like,
you don't even be knowing they be looking at you for it.
You really don't. And you really have to every day you have to, it's a lifestyle. And you can never let your guard down. And yes, you're going to have moments where you have bad days, you have good days. But honestly, your good days have to outweighs the bad day.
Like a singer.
Like, you cannot have so much bad days to the point that people can't remember when you are having a good day. So I just think that, like, you really have
Lord. So many bad days. They're like, dang, when's the last time you done had a good day?
Right? And then you want to go and invite someone. You're having a function at your church and you want to go invite them. I ain't coming.
Nope. That's going to be a no for me.
No, thank you. Because if you're like this here at work or wherever,
Lord.
I don't want to see how.
No.
But anyhow, let's move on.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm the host, and I'm like,
See,
it's the hot seat.
it's different when you're in the driver's seat. Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
over
next
here
question.
chilling.
Does the way that we carry ourselves or act towards others as disciples of Christ matter, and why?
Yes, yes, they do.
Okay, why?
Yes, Matthew 5:16, one of my favorite scriptures. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Now, this one is something that I saw a lot more last year, 2022. I say it like it's a long time ago. It's only been like what 9 days? 9 days. So last year I seen a lot of this when it came time for a lot of things that my family was going through. For example, there was a lot of times where people were calling on me to do things, where I was like, wow, first and foremost, I never really thought people paid attention to me and my faith in following God and
They're
things like
watching you
that.
even
But
when you don't know.
nah, seriously, they really do be watching you even when you don't realize it. But it was like in these moments, and I would say last year and even the year before that, with like 2021, 2022, was where I saw a lot more people calling on me, especially in my family, looking to me to do what I do, to be the minister,
the
Phoenix,
light.
to be the Christian, to be the one to bring them through some really hard moments. And it's like in those moments, it's like when people recognize that they can go to you for that spiritual guidance or that spiritual help, like it really is like one of those moments where you're like, yo, I've actually been doing this right, because there's a lot of times where you may not feel like you walking out your faith right, or you're questioning like, God, am I doing this right? And I thought for me, like, that was one of the, like, a lot of those moments were some of the most important moments in my life for me, because it's easy to live out your faith when everyone else around you is living out their faith. But when you don't have a lot of people who are really doing it, and you're forced to do it, and people can see that, there's something genuine there, and if I need help, if I need, some spiritual guidance, if I need a word, if I need encouragement, this is a source that I can go to. Because at the end of the day, and I say this a lot, you might be the only Jesus that someone sees. And you don't want to give people the wrong picture of what Jesus is like.
No.
Because one of the biggest complaints I hear when I talk to people, like, hey, yo, why don't you go to church?
No, they're the worst.
Church people they say the H
They're
word.
hypocrites.
They're the biggest hypocrites.
And I mean, it's very offensive.
For me, honestly, this is my thought on this. And this is why I say, we have to, and this is, with that question, why it's important that we shine our light the right way. Because if we shine a light in making it seem like it's all perfection, there's no problems, we're perfect and we're beyond everyone else, and we're higher than everyone else and more righteous than everyone else, then when people don't see that, it becomes more of a problem.
That's
because
why we have to,
because they already put us on a pedestal, and then when we make our pedestal even higher, they're like, but hold on, you putting yourself here, but I'm seeing you're more like here. So we have to give people a proper understanding of exactly what this walk is, what it means to be a child of God, what that looks like. It's not always perfect, it's not always pretty, and we're far from perfect. But when people see the optimism, the joy, the peace, the happiness, and the consistency, and that's the big word right there, the consistency that you walk out your faith the same in church as out of church. People gravitate towards that because they're like, yo, I've observed this person, and even in these crazy situations, they're still pretty cool about things, and they're still able to keep their heads, and they're not yelling at the top of their lungs, even at these moments where they probably should be yelling at the top of their lungs, and they kind of vibe with that.
I think the best place for if a pastor would like to evaluate their members, the best place they should go is their job.
Oh my goodness. Oh my Lord.
They should go on the job.
They should just pop up one day
at work.
Talk to their coworkers.
And talk to the coworkers.
Talk to the coworkers.
And after they talk to the coworkers, then they'll get a better understanding of who that person is.
Co-workers and immediate supervisors, the ones who actually see you on a day-to-day.
No, and I say this because it's easy for us to shine our light and to be good disciples of God, to be good Christian, whatever that look like to you all. Like, it's easy to do that when you're among everyone.
Yeah, because everyone else is shining lights too.
Proclaim
like
or
flashlights
claim
going
that
everywhere. So
right?
much light everywhere.
So it's easy for Christians to shine their light around other Christians. But what, like, how are you carrying yourself when you're at work?
Ooh, because that's the place.
Yeah,
that's the place.
How? That's like your next home.
Yeah.
Like, you spend a lot of time there.
Probably spend more time at work than you do with your family.
Right. Okay, and this is another one. And I'm guilty for this because I don't really socialize outside of work, as far as like
that's
my
problem.
Coworkers are like, oh, we're gonna go out and we have, we're gonna go and eat or whatever, I don't go. And it's not because, I'm like, I think I'm better or I just don't want to hang out. I just would rather not, right? And it's okay. It's not that you don't like your coworkers or if you have anything against them. No, if someone is having like a celebration, as far as like a goodbye celebration or something like that, yes, I'll go and I'll support. But just the casual, once a month, every other week, get together, celebrate, no. And the reason why I don't is because most times it's like, oh, we're going for a happy hour or something, where there's drinking, and that's not my lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with going out and not drinking anything with your like there's nothing, you can go out and still not partake in what's going on.
You could go for the wings.
But for me, it's just in that
settings,
I just don't feel comfortable. So I rather not, and I just go
conviction.
Home. Right.
Convict her, Lord.
But there's nothing wrong with if a Christian want to go out with their co-workers, but you got to be careful what you do around your co-workers and saying you are a child of God, because then
they're watching Please believe they still watching.
And how you gonna tell them about God when you just
they still watching?
Turn up with us.
Y'all done just took like 6 rounds of shots, and then you're like, but there's Jesus that I want to tell you about.
There's a very thin line, and we're human and we're not perfect. So instead of trying to put yourself into a situation that can go left or right, and yes, you trust yourself, but when the enemy is really trying to come at you,
most of the time it goes left.
It
don't normally go right.
So you really have to be in, or have the Spirit of God leading you and take you places that you need to be and places that you don't need to be. And you need to know how to separate the two. Yes, you could be cool and you could love and you could enjoy your coworkers, but there's times when you don't need to be in some of those social gatherings.
You don't want to be in the wrong place at the right time. Oh. Wrong place.
Okay.
Right time.
Right? So for me, that's how I would answer this question, because it's like we have to be careful. People are watching.
A lot.
And if you're especially, this is the new year. Last year, you might did some stuff that you're like, oh God, I did not act like your child.
I wasn't representing you to the best.
I was not representing you how you expect me to. But for this year, God, When I go back to work, they're going to see a new me. They're going to be like, what
Me.
happened?
New year,
New
same
year,
God,
same God, new you.
me.
Right?
Okay.
So,
That might have to be our next episode.
so you just have, it's not too late. If anyone out there, if you're struggling with the secular world and the Christian, if it's like one foot in, or you want to be over here and you want to be over there, like, and you're just struggling,
Sitting on the fence.
It's not too late to choose, right? And it's hard, but you know what? The more you choose the right way, or whichever way is right for you, the more you choose the way of God, is the easier it becomes. And I say this because the Bible says resist the devil and he will flee. So the more you resist, it's the more it'll become easier and easier and easier. And the devil is gonna try to get you, but you just have to keep resisting. And I feel like I'm talking too much.
I always say every step you take towards God, he always takes a few more towards you. So if you take one, he takes 6. So
exactly. All right. So I'm on question 4. All right. What are some ways that we can make sure that we are shining the right kind of light to those around us?
All right. This is one of my favorite questions, because I can use one of my favorite things that I say to people, especially believers, is this. Your life and your actions are only doing 2 things. They're only doing 2 things. That's it. You're either drawing someone closer to God, or you pushing someone away from God. That's it. That's it. Believe it or not, that is all we are doing. We are either living a life that's going to pull someone closer to God, or we're living a life that's going to push someone away. That's meaning, when I say push someone away, you're going to give them reasons to be like,
turn them off.
This Jesus that you talking about just ain't for me. This lifestyle you talk about just ain't for me. There's just something about it. It doesn't appeal to me. It's not. I see your life, and it's just not. It's not something that I want to do. So we need to be conscious. One, very important. Be conscious of what it is that we're showing people. What it is that we're giving people. And I always say your life is the best testimony that you can have. You can fake it for a while, but at one time or another, the genuine life that you live is going to come out. And you want your life to be a life that showcases God exactly how he is, and showcases faith exactly what it is, at least what it is for you. If faith is something that's allowed you to find peace in times of storm, people should be able to see that. If faith is something that helped you to find joy even in times of not so joyous occasions, people should be able to see that. And your life should be something that causes people to want to gravitate towards God. See you and be like, you know what? I see something in them that I want.
Yes.
I see something that they got that I want. I don't know exactly how they got it, but I want that joy that they have. I want the happiness that they have. I want that peace that they have, because I see the hecticness, and for some reason they're always happy. They're always smiling.
Yeah, it's evident.
They're always optimistic. They're always positive. And
like what are you drinking?
Yeah, like what is it in that coffee cup that you have? It's nothing. It's coffee. That's what it is. But I will tell you something. But your life should be. You should live your life in a way that is appealing, that people see your attitude and they're like, wow, you know what? You're actually nice to be around. Yeah. You're nice to talk to. It shouldn't turn people off or, make people want to avoid you or like turn you back and like, here they coming. Their attitude's just so,
Yeah.
So you want to live in a way that causes people to see something inside of you that they would want, inside of them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I would definitely agree with you. People should be able to see something that about you that they're like, oh man, I wish I had that. Right?
And it's not an envious thing. Let me make sure I put that. It's not an envious way.
It's not an envious way.
But it's like, you know what? Like, wow, I want that. Yes.
Yeah,
yes, admiration,
they
not envy.
They admire what you have. They admire the way you carry yourself. They admire your happiness, the joy that you shows. And then they'll in turn be like, oh my gosh, you're so happy. Tell me, what can I do? And then
how do you get like
a perfect opportunity for you to introduce them to your God. right?
Let me
To the
introduce
one and
you to
only,
Jesus.
right? So, um, again, just try not to push people away, but try to bring them closer to you, because we all have something, we all have experienced something that we can share with others, that we can help people, that we could teach people. But sometimes our attitude turn people
Oh
off.
gosh, there's
It
nothing worse
turns
than a
them
stink attitude.
away. And then people don't want you, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I should have said this, or I should have encouraged the person. But it's too late.
Missed opportunity.
It's too late.
Missed
And
opportunity.
everywhere you go, every day, you have a chance to say something positive, something good to somebody, where they could see the God that you have inside of you. They could see the Jesus in you without you having to tell them, oh,
Ooh,
you know, I'm a Christian.
that was the
They'll
good
be
part.
able to see it.
Yes, that was the
You
part
don't
I
have
did
to
want to
walk
touch.
around. You don't have to walk around and be like, "Oh yes, I'm a child of God.
I am a
God
child
is
of the
good
Most High
all the
God.
time. All the time, God is good. I am blessed and highly favored by God." You don't have to walk around and say that. Yes, if someone say, "Hey, how you doing?" You can say, "Oh, I am blessed
And highly favored.
by God."
Trusting
But
in God.
you don't have to go around and like you want to write it on your forehead, like, "Oh, I'm a Christian. I'm a child of God," because the way you carry yourself,
People
just
should see it.
they should see it.
People should see
It
it.
doesn't take anything out of you to put a smile on your face when you see somebody. It doesn't take anything out of you to say good morning to somebody.
Good mornings
It
go a
doesn't-
long way.
Yeah, it doesn't take anything out from. It doesn't take anything away from you to say, you know what? Have a blessed day today, or to say something positive, whatever it is. Compliment somebody, for God's sake. Some of us, we just always want to get compliments,
Oh
but we
gosh.
never compliment
me.
anybody.
Compliment me.
Right? So it's like these are like the little acts of service that will
Little
show
Little
that
stuff.
you have something about Christ inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It doesn't have to be a lot. But anyhow,
Yes.
final thoughts. Here's some
Final
gems.
thoughts.
Final thoughts
Final gems
for the people.
for the people. All right. Shining a positive light. You know, great point that you made was like, you don't have to tell people what you believe. They should be able to see it. Like, they should be able to see it. And you don't really have to, honestly, you really don't have to do too much. If you really have joy in your faith and in your belief and in God and, you know, the things that God has done, like, it'll show. It really will. And you just living your life as you and living out your faith, that'll be enough for people to see something inside of you that'll draw them in.
Yeah. And again, you know, I feel like I'm always like talking about work, and you know, because I feel like that's where we spend a lot of time. Like, we
No,
go
it
to
is. You
church,
spend
but we're there Sundays,
more
sometimes maybe
time
one day
at
during
work
the
than
week,
I do
you know.
with y'all.
So but I do want to say, even if sometimes you're at work, you may make a mistake, you may did something wrong where, okay, your boss is gonna yell at you because you just messed up some orders and now it's gonna cost the company money. It's okay to own up to it.
I made a mistake today.
It's okay to say, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, that was my fault.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to put it on somebody else
Yeah.
and make it seem like it wasn't you. Like, those are the little things.
Goes a long way. I'm like, oh,
like me. Last year, right? And I told her this, and I was like, oh my gosh. At work, my parking lot is very small.
It is.
And I have a truck, and I was trying
SUV.
I was trying to back out, and I did not realize I was so close. And I turned my wheel, and then I tried to back up, and I hit the person's car.
Boom.
We don't have any cameras.
Tap the co-worker's
There's
car.
nothing.
She could have
You know
just
what I
chucked
did?
the deuce. She could have left people.
But you know what I did? I got out of my car. I went. I took the license plate. I took the car, the model, like everything for the car, the information. And I went to the secretary's office, and I said, I just hit somebody's car.
Just hit my co-worker's car.
And I have no idea whose car
no
it is.
clue whose car.
Can you find out whose car this is? Because I want them to know that I just hit their car.
Didn't
and I
even
could
run
give them my
away.
insurance information. That's what I did.
Jesus,
I
would
could
be
have
proud.
left.
She could have
because
left.
guess what? There was nothing really on the car. My
She
car
coulda
was more
left.
messed up.
She could have left.
And then this is what I did. They told me whose car it was. I went to the person and I said, you know what? I am so sorry, but I just hit your car.
Hey, yo, I just tagged your car,
And I
yo.
said, I will give you my insurance information. I'm just sorry. And she was like, it's okay. I'm just going to find out the information. She called, do what she had to do. And she was like, you know what? It's the lease. And I already prepay for certain scratches, damages. So this little scratch, it's okay. It's all paid for.
Nice.
They're going to take care of it.
That's a dub.
I was like, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
But guess what? I felt good in my spirit because I'm like, what if I had just act like nothing ever happened? That would be my conscience.
And then what if someone saw you?
Right.
Because there'll always be a witness. There'll always be a witness.
I didn't even think of that. I just honestly thought like, oh my gosh, I hit the car and now I need to go find out
there was probably
whose car
someone watching who was going to see
hit.
what you was going to do. Like,
right? But, so that just the little things goes a long way.
Things go a long way.
And another thing, I know we touched before about like shining your light so that people may see, and then we don't turn people away from God. We don't push them away, but we actually draw them closer to us and draw them closer to God. But sometimes as believers, we're trying our best, and it doesn't matter what you say to people. Their excuse for not wanting to go to church or follow God is always to blame Christians and what they're doing. And it's not so much what Christians are doing or like,
some
they're
people
hypocrites.
just need an excuse.
They're just looking for an excuse.
Some people just need an
excuse. It
excuse.
doesn't matter. You could tell them from today straight back until next year.
Don't make a difference.
It doesn't make a difference because it's just an excuse not to do something.
That's true.
Oh, well, look at this one in church. Look at what they're... And I always tell people, don't look at other people. Look at you. Just worry about you and your own salvation. Because people are imperfect. We are not perfect.
We all imperfect.
Right? No one is perfect.
Not
but
a
God.
one but God.
So if we're looking for a perfect person, we're not going to find them. If we're looking for a perfect church, you're not going to find them because it's filled with people who are imperfect, broken, damaged, hurting, all that. So you're not going to find it. So that should not be an excuse not to want to follow Christ. You want to call church people hypocrites? Okay. But guess what? Pray for them.
Hey.
Right?
Perfect God, imperfect people.
Imperfect people. So we're not perfect.
Go looking for the perfect God, not the imperfect people.
But as Christians, we should not go out of our way to just be so rude and mean that it doesn't matter who comes around us. They don't want to come around us. Like the little kids. Normally, like I watch my daughter, and she is a very good
judge of
discernment.
Character.
Yeah, she can
very
discern.
Good judge of
she
character.
Could discern some things, right? And if she is like, oh no, I'm not forcing her. Kids can tell.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, she don't really like going to too many people, and that's okay. But if she's like, if she's very like
adamant
on
like, the
no,
that's a no.
That's a no.
That's a no.
But even the little children should be able to even go like this. But if they're not even going like this,
not even a wave.
Yeah, you gotta check yourself.
All
right. So I am the host. So what do I do now? All right.
Remember. Death
and life is in the power of your tongue. So make sure you speak life. I knew that. I was just playing around. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be blessed, people.
Have a great week. We love y'all. Blessings.
Blessings.